This is the World Financial Report on radio with Harold Siegel. My name is Randy Marshall. Joining us via the telephone, our financial expert, Harold Siegel. We're taping the show on April the 8th, 2011, at approximately 8:43 in the morning Mountain Time, 10:43 Eastern Time. Show runs on AM 640 in Toronto, 630 CHED in Edmonton. If you ever miss a show, you can catch us archived on Harold's website, hesradio.com. And let's go to Harold immediately to give us an update on the markets. Harold, to say this week was spectacular for silver and gold would be a massive understatement.
You better believe it, Randy. It's been an unbelievable week. You know, we talked about gold having problem breaking through the 1450 level, and it broke through that this week, and now we're trading at 1473 as we're taping the show on Friday. Gold's up almost $11 on the day. But the real star of the show is silver. Silver had a lot of problems getting through that $38 resistance level, but it broke it this week, and now we're trading at 40.33. We're up tremendously today. The silver market is just on a scream. It started the year at $30. We're now at 40, so the market has really taken off, and it's looking phenomenal. Again, we're very bullish on gold and silver, and we'll talk about that, further in the show, but the markets just look fantastic. Platinum's up $21. It's back over 1,800 at 1,809. Palladium has made a strong move, up $20 today. It's trading back up above the $800 level at 804. We've been very bullish on oil, and oil is not disappointing. Oil's up another $1 today. It was up on Friday. It was up on Thursday. The market's trading at $111.28. It's up $1 on the day. The American dollar is falling again. The U.S. dollar is down to 75.08. It's down 50 cents on the day so far. And the Canadian dollar is trading at 104. So all in all, everything is looking amazing in the markets. The commodity markets are on the scream. Do you know that corn is up 100% from last year and 15% for the week? So the fact is that they say that there's no inflation in the United States, which again is really ridiculous because oil's well over $100, food prices are skyrocketing, but for whatever reason, when they calculate inflation numbers in the U.S., they exclude energy and food, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. But all in all, Americans spend 23% of their income on oil and food. 23%. Now, that's not inflation. I don't know what is because, again, if you're on a fixed income, if you're making, for example, $50,000 a year, most of that money is spoken for. Mortgage and car payments and food and everything like that. But when the price of food and oil go up as much as they have, and it costs more to heat your home and it costs more to fill up the gas tank, something's got to suffer, and there's no way in the world that we don't have inflation. That's one of the major reasons that we've been recommending physical precious metals for the last decade and hard assets like diamonds. So Americans spend 23% of their income on oil and food. 25% of U.S. households have zero to negative net worth. That's 25% of U.S. households have zero to negative net worth. It's an unbelievable time because, again, when the stock market fell substantially back in 2008 from 14,000 all the way down to 6,500, it wiped out most people's wealth. It wiped out their money. It wiped out their retirement funds. And, again, most people never recovered from that. Also in the United States, the real estate market has plummeted, lost trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. Many people have lost their homes to foreclosure. And again, this is what's going on in the United States at this point. It's at times like a bloodbath. In fact, new home sales in the United States are down 80% from the peak in 2005. New home sales down 80% from the peak in 2005. That gives you a strong indication as to what the real estate market is like in the United States. If you watch CNBC and you watch what's happening on Wall Street, they're excited about a recovery. But the numbers that I just gave you certainly don't tell us that we're having any type of recovery here in the United States at all. The purchasing power of the U.S. dollar has declined from $1 in 1913, and listen to this, to 4.6 cents in 2009. The U.S. dollar was the strongest currency in the world, even back in the 1990s, and now is one of the weakest currencies and is totally falling out of bed. The thing is, as the U.S. dollar continues to fall and fall, gold and silver will continue to rise and rise. So, again, we do believe that we will continue to see a heavy drop in the U.S. dollar. We did predict that the U.S. dollar would come down to around the 71.5 cent level, and that would put gold at about $18.50 in my opinion. So again, we do believe that the U.S. dollar will continue to fall, and just look what's happening with other currencies. The fact is that when the Japanese crisis hit last month, and it was devastating, obviously, the earthquake and the tremendous damage and the loss of life and everything in Japan. But for the first time, there was not a run to the U.S. dollar as the reserve currency. It was actually the Swiss franc and the euro that rallied strong. And that's continuing right now. In actual fact, once the euro broke 140, which is a very heavy resistance level, now you've got the market up to 144 as the U.S. dollar is continuing to fall. So again, we anticipate that this trend will continue. We're very, very bullish on hard assets. Gold, silver, diamonds are the assets that you should be sitting at this particular point. And if you're not, you should definitely get something into silver before these prices get way too high. We are predicting this year that we will see silver trade probably between $48 and $50 on the high by the end of this year. Now, last year, silver was sitting at the end of July at $17.10. By the end of the year, it was trading at $30, so it moved up almost 50% or more than 50% within 90 days. We anticipate another major move coming in gold and silver after July. You see, at the end of July, it's a seasonal trade. If you go back in history, you'll see that 80% of the time, silver and gold will move higher during that period of time between the end of July and the end of the year. And last year was tremendous. Again, we picked up $13 in 90 days, and a lot of our clients made a fortune during that time. If you had 10,000 ounces of silver, you picked up $130,000 in 90 days. That's what the silver market did last year. Since the beginning of this year, silver has gone from $30 to $40. Again, if you have 10,000 ounces of silver, you picked up $100,000 in the first quarter of this year. That's how much money the silver market is making. And again, we are very strongly recommending that we stay in the silver market. We do believe that silver is going to skyrocket this year and hit $48 to $50. The reason that I believe that is going to happen is primarily because of short covering and a short squeeze in the market. And what that basically means, and we've known this for a long time, that banks like J.P. Morgan and other banks like them have been shorting the silver market for years, which is an illegal thing, but the regulatory bodies in the United States turned a blind eye to it, and they made billions and billions of dollars. It was through the efforts of GATA and other major analysts that they brought this to the attention of the regulators and put so much pressure on the Commodity Futures Trading Commission that they now actually saw the light, and they started to put pressure on J.P. Morgan and other banks to stop this short covering. Now, these banks are still heavily short this market. However, they're getting killed financially because every time silver goes up $1, they're losing literally millions and millions and tens of millions of dollars, and they're covering these in the form of margin calls. So basically, what I believe is going to happen is come the end of July, we're going to see that these banks are finally going to have to get out of these positions and buy back these short positions, and that's what I believe will give the final push to silver for the end of the year to see $48 to $50. Now, the high that we saw in silver back in 1979 and 80 was $50, and we saw a high of $850 gold. Gold has really taken off. Gold is trading at $14.70, and silver still has not taken out its all-time high, but I do believe that is going to happen by the end of this year to the first quarter of next year. And ultimately, for those that think that they've missed the move in silver, when we first started doing the show 10 years ago, you could have bought 10,000 ounces of silver for $40,000. Now it's $400,000. And by the way, I want to congratulate every one of our listeners that have been listening to the show for all that period of time that had the guts to listen to the show and buy gold and silver and diamonds based on our recommendations. Again, it's gone from $40,000 to $400,000 in the last decade, and before this whole thing is over, we do anticipate that the price of silver will be a triple-digit number. We believe that silver will break 100, possibly trade as high as $150, because we have not even addressed and dealt with the inflation that is coming. We're already starting to see it. One of the reasons that we saw a major move in gold and silver this week is because China raised their interest rates, and that's what a country needs to do in order to deal with inflation. Back in 1979 and 80, there was 20% interest rates. 20% interest rates, and gold still hit $850 and silver hit $50 because of high inflation. We are definitely heading to that same scenario. So if you're not sitting with any precious metals or diamonds in your portfolio at this point, you better start to look at what's really going on, because not only are our listeners to the show making a fortune in the markets, but it's an insurance policy about all these horrible things that are happening in the worldwide economy. Back in 2008, you had companies like General Motors and Chrysler and all the major banks going under. Now you've got countries going bankrupt like Italy and Spain and Portugal and Greece and Ireland. The United States is in the worst financial shape since the Great Depression. In actual fact, I believe it's probably even worse than the Great Depression. So again, there are certain things happening and will continue to happen probably for the next 4 to 5 years, and if you're not protected against it, you're going to see your net worth drop substantially. The reason that Randy and I have done this show for the last decade, have never ever missed a show, is because it's extremely important that you understand what's going on in the world financial markets. There's an old expression that 90% of the money is made by 10% of the people. 90% of the people are investing wrong at this particular point. You need to be in hard assets. If you believe in insurance on your home, your car, your health, and your life, you better get insurance on your financial situation, because if you don't, you're going to find that with inflation, your finances will, and your financial net worth will dwindle substantially. The dollar is going to continue to fall substantially in the United States until the U.S. Federal Reserve starts to raise interest rates. And when they do start to raise interest rates, it's got to be substantial. It can't be just a basis point or two. I believe that interest rates are going back up to 15, 20, or 25% before this whole thing is over. We are going to see massive inflation that could literally bring the price of oil to $150 to $250. We could literally see gold prices trading at $4,000 to $5,000 and silver at $100 to $150 before this whole thing is over. And if you think I'm crazy, we first started recommending gold at $250. That's when people thought that we were crazy. People thought we were crazy when we said sell all your stocks and buy silver at $4, and now you've seen 1,000% return on your silver position since we've recommended that market to you. So again, things are not getting better. Things are going to get an awful lot worse before they get better, because especially in the U.S., the government is not doing the right thing. In actual fact, how frightening is this? We're at a little bit of a disadvantage today because we're taping the show on early Friday morning, but by Friday evening, the U.S. government may close down, or part of the U.S. government. How frightening is that, to think that 800,000 workers may go without being paid? They may close down all the museums in the national parks. How terrible is this? The military, these poor guys, men and women that put their life on the line for the United States, for the country, may not get paid anymore because of this shutdown by the government. But you've got all the senators and the president and all these politicians that are still getting paid, but these 800,000 poor workers in the military may not get paid. That's how severe things are in the United States. There are countries going bankrupt in Europe. You need to be in the hard asset market if you're going to get through the next 5 years. And again, we very, very strongly recommend that you look at the hard asset market. Gold, silver, and diamonds are where all the money is going to be made over the next 5 years.
There's only one company that Harold recommends when it comes to investing with them and in precious metals. It's Worldwide Precious Metals, a Canadian company in business for over 10 years. They're based out of Vancouver. They've been around during the entire bull market of precious metals. They've been through all the ups and the downs. They're the experts in this specialized field. There are a lot of people popping up out of the woodwork. They're advertising. Where were they? We have never heard of these people, and suddenly they're popping up. Harold has been doing the show for 10 years. I've been doing it for 9 years with Harold, and Harold is highly recommending you use Worldwide Precious Metals. 1-866-623-2002 is their telephone number. The website is wwpmc.com, wwpmc.com. The telephone number, 1-866-623-2002. Harold touched on the government shutdown, and it's funny how some quotes are timeless. And I found a quote this week from Will Rogers. He said, "Everything is changing. People are taking their comedians seriously, and the politicians as a joke. And if in the United States they do have a shutdown,